An Avowed gameplay showcase is confirmed to be making an appearance at this month's Xbox Developer Direct, and the more I talk to others about it, the more I feel isolated within my own bubble of excitement for this title, and I understand why. There is, at least I feel, a worthwhile conversation that we can have about whether or not Avowed is going to have an uphill battle at this month's Developer Direct. Let's get into it. How is it going, everybody? My name is DeMarco, and before we get further into today's video, I want to make three important distinctions. First and foremost, I am not, and I cannot speak on the entirety of the Avowed community. I don't want to be hyperbolic, or for anyone to think I'm dramatizing an issue that this is how everyone feels about Avowed. It's not, and in fact, more people are probably excited about Avowed than are skeptical of it. The second is I want to be clear and transparent that nothing here is necessarily new information. It might be new to you, I certainly hope it is for some of you out there, but these are talking points I feel are worthwhile to bring back up into the discussion now that the Developer Direct is right on the horizon with brand new gameplay that's coming. Number three is just if you could hit all the buttons down there. You know, not the unsubscribe button or the thumbs down button. Those are bad buttons. Get a little click clack or tappy tap. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, let's get into the video. Following the announcement of the Xbox Developer Direct and the games that would be shown there, specifically Avowed in this case, and a conversation on the Renegade Realm podcast, you've barely seen any of it.
I've watched the gameplay a lot. It just doesn't look good. It looks very cartoony and like...
Did you like the first, just the little teaser they initially showed with the arrows?
With the arrows? Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah, I was really
I was
interested
the same way as you. Yeah, I was super excited after that one. And then last summer when I saw what they showed, I went...
I'll leave a link to that episode in the description if you want to check it out. I was reminded of the general reception towards Avowed after that initial gameplay reveal. It's pretty long ago now. At the time, it was largely skeptical, and this was directly related to the change in style and art direction, the darker, more gritty original teaser.
And you must face the monsters our sins have borne.
Versus the bright and for some more cartoony feeling PG, if you will. Visual feel that the Avowed gameplay reveal had, even down to the logo design itself. The pivot in style didn't align with many gamers' expectations, and thus they were pretty turned off by it, and understandably so. And this disconnect that was created bled, of course, into people's overall feelings about the game, but specifically into the combat as well, with some folks stating that the combat looked clunky or just flat out not fun. And I think that's largely due to how caught off guard people were. I'm not criticizing or judging anybody who does feel or has felt this way about Avowed when you have high expectations for something, especially something you're excited about, and it doesn't meet it or it goes in a different direction. That's a very natural and human reaction. And if you look at some of the comments that are found on the official Avowed gameplay reveal, you'll find ones such as, was excited for this, but now that I see what the art style looks like, I'll be passing on this one unless they make it look better, but I'm not holding my breath. Or this one, the world look of the first trailer was better, this environment seems kiddish. Or this one, I'll assume not a native English speaker, but when I first saw the trailer, I was super disappointed because the vision from the CG trailer was so promising, and the more cartoon art style they chose here was not what I expected. However, if they polish the visuals with more detail, model, and texture, I feel like it could be a great game, really game of the year material. There are plenty of other positive comments here as well, and then there's extremes on both sides. There's folks who swear by anything Obsidian does that they can do no wrong, and then the folks that are just sticking their fingers in the ears going, la 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 la, I can't hear you, the game looks bad. We all know those people. You probably know one personally even. There's always extremes on both sides, but for the rest of the video, I wanted to focus on those of you who truly and honestly felt a bit disenfranchised by the full reveal of Avowed, by bringing up a couple hidden details you might not have heard about that are worth bringing into conversation that maybe will help you go into this upcoming Developer Direct with a bit more of an open mind regarding Avowed. Some of the most interesting bits of information on Avowed came after the actual gameplay reveal by someone named Briar DM, at least that's the name he was going by, and he took to a forum called RPG Codex. This was covered in pretty great detail on Windows Central by Jez Corden actually, and nothing that I saw said that this had ever been debunked or that the person wasn't who he said he was, and for what it's worth, I do believe that it was all genuine. But he took to this forum RPG Codex to calm fans down and to respond to some of the reactions that the game was initially getting. Some of the more prudent points that he mentioned was, one, that art will get refined in various ways, that lighting will change, though designs will not, of course. They are what they are. He also mentioned that the studio doing the trailer did compression of colors and image editing. I did see another comment that was stating apparently the developers at Obsidian were all, generally speaking, not happy with the changes in the visual tone from that, although I wasn't able to confirm it necessarily. And then finally, a lot of the game is being kept hidden right now. I think you will have to wait until the next trailer or some sort of presentation to really see it, but it's safe to assume it is very Obsidian. No, the entire game isn't all bright and happy town. No, it is not all so indistinct visually. I'm willing to admit my bias and my predilection towards fantasy games. I might be seeing it through rose-colored glasses, but I do strongly feel if you objectively look at the gameplay reveal, there are snippets of some of those darker tones that's there, but they just get overshadowed by the more vibrant styles that do take precedent, that stand out much more, and that a lot of people did not necessarily resonate well with. And despite even all this, I think the most compelling and the strongest argument that was made was that he stated Avowed is going to have the longest alpha of any Obsidian developed game, and we have firsthand seen what can be done during that time with Starfield. I mean, you look at Starfield from the initial showing to what the game launched with, and man, it is night and day different. You look at that and you could just see that the visual and the lighting team, those guys worked, and it was significantly better. And it was a reminder that often the builds we see in these game showcases, even for trailers, and this is something that's been confirmed and talked about, the builds that we see are usually older versions of the game because they're more stable, they're easier to capture footage and gameplay without having bugs and things breaking while they're trying to show off the game. And it certainly could have been the case here. In fact, I would assume it is the case. And this is a good time to bring up that even the build or the demo showcase that we see during this year's Developer Direct may not be the final version of the game that we end up getting. There are rumors floating around that there's no way Avowed is releasing in the first half of 2024, meaning we have from January all the way until the second half of the year where that polish will continue. But it does further highlight the strides that could have been made between then and now that I am hoping to see from the team at Obsidian with Avowed. And one last comment that was made but wasn't reported on as much, he did state that the developers were lurking in forums for some critical feedback. There's always this question, are they not listening to actual feedback and trying to take that into account? Here it seems to be the case. That doesn't mean go out and be a when you're criticizing developers' hard work, but I do think a good developer and a good development team can see critical feedback, take a breath, internalize it, and try, even if it's rude or poorly worded, try to parse through and find the valid criticism that is probably there. Now, the flip side of this conversation is what Avowed is hopefully going to show off at this Developer Direct. Be sure to leave what you want to see down below, but the first and most obvious is definitively an improved visual style, or the more distinctive environments within the game that consequentially will show off improved lighting, textures, visuals, and everything else to give that tone players might be hoping for. That one's super easy, I think a bit of a given, but more importantly for Avowed is going to be, to me, the RPG elements that are here. You can show me the best visuals in the world, but when it comes to, and I'm sitting down, I'm ready, let's go and play an Obsidian game, what matters to me most is those strong RPG mechanics, the heavy choice and consequence, the deep dialogue, the meaningful dialogue systems where you actually have to think about what you're going to say to certain NPCs. And this is where I think the showcase for Avowed can thrive and really win back fans, because ultimately that is the experience we're craving. At least that's the experience I think Obsidian fans are craving. The CEO of Obsidian, Fergus Urquhart, even mentioned in an interview that they pivoted the design of Avowed to be less like Skyrim, which was the original pitch, to go more towards the RPG that they're good at. He said, quote, "Bethesda makes an awesome Skyrim. What we do is make our awesome RPGs." Right? I bring up dialogue specifically. Josh Scheuer in a Twitter thread mentioned how smaller projects like Pentiment, like Grounded, do help with learnings and bringing forward ideas for some of their current and future projects. And of course, currently that is Avowed, where all hands are on deck. One Reddit user pointed out that in previous Obsidian games, choosing your speech option always was the better choice. It always resulted in the best result. However, with Pentiment, that shifted where you needed to be tactical about when you use certain skills, that speech checks weren't 100% the right decision to utilize. And I think this could be a creative way to bring this to a more widespread audience, since Pentiment was such a niche game, that could help it stand out from other titles. All with the general outcome of those people who, again, have been disenfranchised by the stark contrast in visual styles will see this stuff and go, okay, I see you, Obsidian. I see what you're doing. Those are just my thoughts and opinions, and it's coming from someone who's genuinely excited about Avowed. So if you're one of the people I'm trying to speak to in this video, let me know how you're feeling down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy, leave a like. It really does help a lot. But that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I hope to see you all next time. So long, everybody.